Dark as shame, darling, dark as shame. Thank you for all the...
What comes to mind when you think of a Matthew Broderick film?
That's a lot of fish.
No.
Shall we play a game?
Not quite.
What are we gonna do?
The question isn't what are we going to do, the question is what aren't we going to do?
Yep. Bingo. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a damn good film. Probably one of the best that Matthew Broderick's ever been in.
I disagree. The film is overrated. However, I find the series surrounding the film much more interesting than the film itself.
Jay, who is that?
That, Erwin, is Claudette, our resident critic.
Why is she here?
Because, Erwin, your science experiments have spiked our taxes and, quite frankly, destroyed half the neighborhood. So, in order to afford all of this property damage, we had to rent another room. So, Claudette, you mentioned a theory, right?
Oui. Are you familiar with the series that Ferris Bueller makes his part-only film?
Oh, okay, I see where you're going with this.
Wait, what?
Well, if you recall the basic premise of the movie, Ferris Bueller convinces his buddy, Cameron, to ditch school with him and his girlfriend, and go on various hilarious misadventures. Because of all the nonsensical things that goes on throughout the course of this one single solitary day, there's a theory on the internet that says that the entire film was basically just a figment of Cameron's imagination. It all makes sense if you really think about it.
Of course it does, you idiot!
Hold on. Elaborate.
Well, if you think about the film, the reason that Ferris can get away with all these things, like jumping on a parade float in the middle of the day, and even being on nationwide television without anybody really noticing, is because that he's basically just a projection of Cameron's subconscious. As a clinically depressed young man, Cameron creates Ferris to act as the cool and widely popular guy that Cameron just wants to be. Similar to the protagonist in Tyler Durden in Fight Club. Tyler is the loud and outgoing counterpart that represents all the bottled up emotions that the protagonist, who is usually meek and withdrawn, keeps inside. And the case is somewhat similar to Ferris and Cameron. Now this manifestation, i.e. Ferris, becomes more apparent when one day Cameron decides that he's too sick to do anything, which is basically just his clinical depression taking over. Ferris, acting as his subconscious, decides to liven his day up by taking his father's beloved Ferrari, an indication that he is going to break away from the meek and fear-ruled life.
Then how do you explain all the Save Ferris signs throughout the movie?
Well, when you really think about it, you have to wonder how a Save Ferris sign is on water towers, newspapers, and even Wrigley Field, and yet his parents never find out about it. So, the theory states that the Save Ferris signs were basically just Cameron subconsciously crying for help to get out of his boring, depressed life.
And you're forgetting about the very important part of the film.
Like what?
The girlfriend, you idiot! If the whole thing is Cameron's imagination, then what about Sloane? What significance does she have to Cameron?
Well, if the theory is accurate, Sloane is a manifestation of Cameron's desire for a love life, possibly with a classmate he has a crush on, or, quite frankly, just might never have. Throughout the film, Ferris and Sloane are obviously a couple, and they even talk about marrying each other at some point. And even, in the end, Cameron gives the two projections of his own subconscious a very happy storybook ending.
I love you!
I love you too!
He's gonna marry me.
Okay, this is insane. What kind of lies are you spreading, you evil French witch?
It's just a theory, but then again, so is most of your so-called science.
Okay, them's fighting words.
Erwin, relax. She just likes conflict. Just ask her about breathing.
I do not breathe. I simply absorb the oxygen through my skin.
How is that physically possible?
Save those lies, darling, don't explain. I recall Central Park in fall, how you tore your dress, what a mess. I confess that's not all. Dark as shame.